The friendship that once seemed unbreakable has just become Meghan Markle's worst nightmare. After 5 years of silence, Jessica Mulroney, the woman who stood by Meghan through her royal wedding and darkest moments, has just dropped the most devastating bombshell yet. On September 15th, 2025, Jessica announced she's writing a tell-all memoir that promises to expose everything about their decade-long friendship and explosive fallout. This isn't just another celebrity tell-all. This is personal revenge served ice cold. Jessica Mulroney knows where all the bodies are buried. She was Meghan's closest confidante, her wedding planner, her business partner, and the woman who held her secrets for years. Now she's ready to spill them all in what industry insiders are calling the most anticipated and potentially damaging royal expose ever written. The announcement sent shockwaves through Hollywood and royal circles alike. Within hours, Meghan was reportedly scrambling to control the damage, frantically removing photos and joint interviews with Jessica from her social media accounts. But it might be too late. Jessica has already secured a 7-figure book deal with Kensington Press, and the manuscript is reportedly already in progress. What makes this betrayal so devastating is the timing. Just as Meghan and Harry are struggling with their fading Netflix deals and dwindling public support, their most trusted former friend is about to throw them under the bus in the most public way possible. Jessica isn't holding back either. In her announcement, she made it crystal clear that she's done protecting Meghan's image at the expense of her own reputation. The memoir, tentatively titled Behind the Veil: My Story of Meghan and Me, promises to reveal intimate details of private conversations, behind-the-scenes drama during the Netflix deal negotiations, and allegedly manipulative behavior that Jessica witnessed firsthand. But perhaps most damaging of all, Jessica claims she'll finally tell her side of the racism scandal that destroyed their friendship in 2020. For years, Jessica has been painted as the villain in that story. Now she's ready to flip the script and reveal what really happened behind closed doors. The question isn't whether this book will damage Meghan's reputation, it's how much damage it will actually cause. Because when your former best friend turns against you, they don't just know your secrets, they know how to weaponize them. The details Jessica Mulroney is threatening to expose aren't just embarrassing, they're potentially career-ending. According to reports from the Celeb Post and Geo.tv, Jessica's memoir will pull back the curtain on some of Meghan's most private and vulnerable moments, revealing a side of the Duchess that the public has never seen before. First on Jessica's hit list are the intimate details of private conversations she had with Meghan during the most crucial moments of her relationship with Harry. We're talking about late-night phone calls where Meghan allegedly expressed doubts about royal life, complaints about the constraints of the monarchy, and her real feelings about certain members of the royal family. Jessica was Meghan's sounding board during those turbulent early days, and she heard it all. But it gets worse. Jessica is also promising to reveal behind-the-scenes insight into the Sussex's Netflix deal negotiations. Remember, Jessica wasn't just Meghan's friend, she was also involved in several business ventures with her. She had a front-row seat to the wheeling and dealing that went into securing that massive Netflix contract. Sources suggest Jessica witnessed conversations and decisions that could completely change how the public views the Sussex's departure from royal duties. Perhaps most explosive of all, Jessica is planning to expose what she calls Meghan's manipulative behavior during the lead-up to Harry's memoir release. Jessica allegedly has receipts showing how Meghan influenced the content and tone of Harry's book, pushing him to include certain revelations while strategically omitting others. If true, this could reveal that Meghan was the puppet master behind some of the most damaging claims against the royal family. The memoir will also dive into financial disputes between the former friends over co-branded projects and wedding planning ventures. Jessica helped plan Meghan's royal wedding, but their business relationship apparently soured long before their personal friendship imploded. Jessica claims there were disagreements over money, credit, and creative control that festered for years before finally exploding into the public racism scandal. What makes these revelations so dangerous for Meghan is that Jessica has the receipts, text messages, emails, voice recordings, business documents, all the evidence she needs to back up her claims. This isn't going to be a he said, she said situation. Jessica is coming with proof, and that's what has Meghan reportedly terrified. But Jessica isn't just planning to expose Meghan's secrets. She's also ready to defend herself against years of character assassination. And when someone feels they've been wrongly vilified, they don't hold anything back in their quest for vindication. The 7-figure book deal Jessica Mulroney just secured isn't just about the money, it's about revenge served with a literary flourish. Kensington Press reportedly offered Jessica an advance that industry insiders describe as staggering, and there's a very strategic reason why Jessica chose this exact moment to break her 5-year silence. For half a decade, Jessica has watched Meghan build an empire on victimhood while painting her former best friend as a racist villain. She's seen Meghan secure lucrative Netflix deals, Spotify contracts, and speaking engagements worth millions, all while Jessica's own career and reputation crumbled in the aftermath of their public fallout. The woman who once had A-list clients and a thriving styling business found herself persona non grata in Hollywood circles overnight. But Jessica has been playing the long game. While Meghan was busy building her brand, Jessica was quietly documenting everything. She kept receipts, saved messages, and most importantly, she watched and waited for the perfect moment to strike back. That moment is now, and the timing couldn't be more devastating for Meghan. Jessica's announcement comes just as Meghan and Harry are facing their most challenging period since leaving the royal family. Their Netflix shows have flopped, their Spotify deal was cancelled, and their public approval ratings are at an all-time low. The Sussex brand is already on life support, and Jessica's tell-all could be the final nail in the coffin. In her explosive quotes to the media, Jessica made her motivations crystal clear. "I have waited 5 years to tell the unfiltered truth about our friendship and what really happened when I stood by Meghan through the good and the bad," she declared. This isn't just about clearing her name, it's about exposing what she sees as Meghan's hypocrisy and betrayal. But the most cutting line in Jessica's announcement was this: "I owe it to my children and my legacy to set the record straight. No more being the villain in someone else's story." This is personal. Jessica's children have grown up seeing their mother labeled as a racist on social media. Her professional reputation has been destroyed. Her personal relationships have suffered. She's been the collateral damage in Meghan's rise to global fame, and she's finally ready to fight back. Jessica also revealed that she's been approached by publishers multiple times over the years but always declined out of loyalty to her former friend. That loyalty is clearly dead and buried now. The woman who once described Meghan as like a sister is now ready to burn down everything they built together. The publishing world is already buzzing with anticipation. This isn't just going to be a book, it's going to be a cultural phenomenon that could reshape how the public views Meghan Markle forever. Meghan's reaction to Jessica's bombshell announcement has been swift, panicked, and utterly revealing. Within hours of the news breaking, eagle-eyed fans noticed something shocking. Meghan had begun frantically scrubbing her social media accounts of any trace of her former best friend. Photos from years of friendship, joint interviews, and collaborative projects started disappearing from Instagram faster than you could screenshot them. But the digital damage control couldn't hide the panic happening behind closed doors. Sources close to Meghan tell a very different story than the composed public silence she's maintained. Insiders reveal that Meghan is dismayed and fearful about the prospect of private family anecdotes being exposed to the world. These aren't just embarrassing celebrity secrets we're talking about. These are intimate details about her marriage to Harry, her relationship with Archie and Lilibet, and her true feelings about the royal family. The source described Meghan as being in full crisis mode, spending hours on emergency calls with her legal team and publicists. She reportedly canceled several planned appearances and has been holed up in her Montecito mansion trying to figure out how to contain this disaster before it completely destroys everything she's worked to build. What particularly telling is how quickly Meghan moved to erase Jessica from her digital history. This wasn't a gradual, subtle removal of old content. This was a panicked, middle-of-the-night social media purge that screamed desperation. The woman who once posted loving tributes to Jessica on her birthday and tagged her in countless Instagram stories suddenly acted like their decade-long friendship never existed, but Meghan's digital housekeeping might have actually made things worse. The internet never forgets, and fans have already started compiling screenshots and archived posts showing just how close these two women once were. The contrast between Meghan's previous public displays of affection for Jessica and her current frantic attempt to distance herself only reinforces Jessica's narrative that Meghan is manipulative and self-serving. Friends of Meghan are reportedly begging her to reach out to Jessica privately to try to stop the book publication. They're suggesting everything from financial settlements to public apologies, anything to prevent Jessica from following through on her threat. But sources suggest that ship has already sailed. Jessica has reportedly told mutual friends that no amount of money or groveling will change her mind now. The fear in Meghan's camp isn't just about embarrassing revelations, it's about the potential legal implications. If Jessica has evidence of the financial disputes she's alluding to, or if she can prove that Meghan made false statements during their public falling out, this could expose Meghan to serious legal consequences beyond just public embarrassment. But perhaps what terrifies Meghan most is that Jessica knows exactly where to hit her where it hurts the most, and she's finally ready to pull the trigger. Jessica's public statements about the memoir aren't just announcements. They're carefully crafted missiles aimed directly at Meghan's carefully constructed public image. Every single quote Jessica has given to the media is loaded with implications that could unravel years of Meghan's narrative building. When Jessica declared, "People think they know me, but they've never heard my voice," this book will change that. She wasn't just talking about clearing her own name. She was directly challenging Meghan's version of events that painted Jessica as the aggressor in their racism scandal fallout. Jessica is essentially saying that everything the public thinks they know about what happened between them is wrong, and she's got the receipts to prove it. But the most devastating quote came when Jessica said, "I owe it to my children and my legacy to set the record straight. No more being the villain in someone else's story." This line is absolutely brutal because it positions Meghan as someone who deliberately destroyed Jessica's reputation to protect her own. It suggests that Meghan threw Jessica under the bus to save herself, turning her best friend into a scapegoat for her own public relations disasters. The phrase "someone else's story" is particularly cutting. Jessica is implying that she's been written into Meghan's narrative as the villain, not because of her own actions, but because Meghan needed someone to blame. This reframes their entire friendship as potentially exploitative, with Jessica serving as Meghan's convenient fall guy when things got complicated. Industry insiders who know both women are already parsing every word of Jessica's statements for hidden meanings. The phrase "unfiltered truth" suggests that everything Meghan has said publicly about their relationship has been filtered, edited, or sanitized to protect her own reputation. Jessica is promising the raw, unvarnished reality that could be far more damaging than anyone realizes. Royal commentators are calling Jessica's language strategic and legally precise. She's not making wild accusations or emotional outbursts. She's speaking like someone who has consulted with lawyers and media experts to craft statements that will generate maximum impact while protecting her from potential lawsuits. This suggests Jessica isn't acting impulsively. She's been planning this revenge for years. The timing of these quotes is also significant. Jessica waited until she had a publishing deal and legal protection before making any public statements. She's not just angry, she's prepared. She's turned her rage into a calculated business decision that could generate millions while destroying her former friend's reputation. What makes these quotes so dangerous for Meghan is that they're coming from someone who was once her most trusted ally. Jessica isn't a disgruntled employee or a jealous rival. She was Meghan's maid of honor, her business partner, and her closest confidante. When someone with that level of access turns against you, their words carry devastating weight. And Jessica is just getting started with the revelations that could change everything. The racism scandal that destroyed Jessica and Meghan's friendship in 2020 wasn't just a social media argument that got out of hand. It was the explosive end to years of hidden tensions that Jessica is now ready to expose in brutal detail. What the public saw was just the tip of the iceberg, and Jessica's memoir promises to reveal the massive betrayal that was happening beneath the surface. The public version of the story seems straightforward. Lifestyle blogger Sasha Exeter called out Jessica for allegedly threatening her career after Sasha posted about white privilege. Jessica's response was widely criticized, and within days Meghan had publicly distanced herself from her former best friend. It looked like Meghan was taking the moral high ground by cutting ties with someone who had behaved badly. But Jessica's version of events is reportedly very different, and far more damaging to Meghan's carefully crafted image. Sources familiar with the memoir's contents suggest that Jessica will reveal how Meghan encouraged her to take a more aggressive stance in defending herself against Sasha's accusations. Jessica allegedly has text messages showing that Meghan was coaching her responses and advising her on how to handle the public relations disaster. Even more explosive, Jessica is expected to reveal that Meghan initially promised to support her publicly through the controversy. According to Jessica's planned narrative, they had multiple conversations where Meghan assured her that their friendship would survive the scandal and that she understood Jessica's side of the story. Jessica trusted these promises and continued to defend herself publicly, thinking she had Meghan's backing. The betrayal came when Meghan not only failed to support Jessica, but actively participated in her public destruction. Jessica reportedly has evidence showing that Meghan's team was feeding negative information about her to the media, while publicly maintaining that they were taking space to evaluate the situation. Jessica believes she was set up to take the fall for a controversy that Meghan helped escalate. What makes this revelation so devastating is the hypocrisy it exposes. Meghan built her entire post-royal brand on fighting racism and supporting marginalized communities. If Jessica can prove that Meghan was complicit in the aggressive response that got Jessica labeled as a racist, it completely undermines Meghan's moral authority on these issues. Jessica is also expected to reveal the real reason Meghan cut ties so quickly and decisively. According to sources familiar with the memoir, it wasn't because Meghan was horrified by Jessica's behavior. It was because Meghan's advisors told her that maintaining the friendship would be toxic for her own brand. Jessica was sacrificed on the altar of Meghan's public image. The most damaging revelation may be Jessica's claim that she has recordings of phone calls where Meghan expressed very different views about the situation privately than what she was saying publicly. If these recordings exist and are included in the memoir, they could expose Meghan as calculating and duplicitous in a way that would destroy public trust in her completely. What Jessica knows about Harry's memoir process could be the most explosive revelation of all, and it threatens to completely rewrite the narrative around one of the most controversial royal books ever published. Jessica wasn't just Meghan's friend during the writing of Spare. She was reportedly a behind-the-scenes advisor who witnessed firsthand how the book came together and who was really pulling the strings. According to sources familiar with Jessica's planned memoir, she will reveal that Meghan was far more involved in crafting Harry's tell-all than anyone realized. While Harry presented the book as his own authentic voice and personal journey, Jessica allegedly has evidence showing that Meghan was actively shaping the content, deciding which family secrets to include, and strategically timing revelations for maximum impact. Jessica is expected to expose conversations where Meghan discussed using Harry's book as a weapon against the royal family. Sources suggest Jessica has text messages and recorded calls where Meghan talked about making them pay for how they treated her during her time as a working royal. This would completely contradict Meghan's public stance that she wanted to move on from royal drama and focus on their new life in America. But the memoir revelations don't stop at editorial influence. Jessica is also planning to expose the financial disputes that destroyed their business relationship long before their personal friendship imploded. These weren't just minor disagreements about wedding planning fees, they were major conflicts over intellectual property, brand partnerships, and shared business ventures that generated significant income. Jessica and Meghan had co-branded several projects together, including styling collaborations and potential television ventures. According to Jessica's version of events, Meghan systematically pushed her out of these profitable partnerships as her own star power grew, claiming credit for ideas and connections that Jessica had contributed. Jessica reportedly has contracts and email chains that document how Meghan gradually squeezed her out of deals they had developed together. The wedding planning disputes are particularly messy. Jessica helped orchestrate Meghan's royal wedding, one of the most watched events in modern history, but their business relationship around the wedding apparently soured over money, credit, and control. Jessica is expected to reveal that she was underpaid for her work while Meghan capitalized on the global attention the wedding generated to launch her own brand partnerships. Even more damaging, Jessica allegedly has evidence showing that Meghan used their friendship to gain access to Jessica's high-profile client list and industry connections, then cut Jessica out once she no longer needed those relationships. This would paint Meghan as someone who systematically exploited her closest friend's professional network for personal gain. Jessica is also expected to reveal conversations where Meghan expressed jealousy about Jessica's success and connections in the fashion and entertainment industries. Before Meghan became a duchess, Jessica was the more established and well-connected of the two women. Sources suggest the memoir will show how Meghan's rise to fame created a competitive dynamic that ultimately destroyed their friendship. These financial revelations could expose Meghan to potential legal action if Jessica can prove breach of contract or fraudulent business practices. The publishing world's reaction to Jessica's memoir announcement has been nothing short of explosive, with industry insiders already calling it potentially the most damaging royal tell-all since Andrew Morton's bombshell Diana biography. Major publishers are reportedly kicking themselves for not securing the deal, while Kensington Press is already fast-tracking production to capitalize on the massive public interest. Literary agents are describing the advance Jessica received as unprecedented for a celebrity memoir by someone who isn't technically a celebrity herself. But that's exactly what makes this book so dangerous for Meghan. Jessica isn't writing from the outside looking in. She's writing from the very center of Meghan's inner circle, with access that no other author could possibly have. She was there for the private phone calls, the business meetings, the family moments that no journalist or royal reporter could ever witness. Publishing executives are already comparing this to some of the most devastating celebrity exposés in recent history. One industry insider told reporters that Jessica's book has the potential to be this generation's mommy dearest, referencing Christina Crawford's devastating memoir about her adoptive mother, Joan Crawford. The comparison is particularly apt because both books involve someone very close to a public figure revealing the dark reality behind the carefully crafted public image. Book retailers are already preparing for massive demand. Pre-orders haven't even begun yet, but major chains are already allocating significant shelf space and planning promotional campaigns around the book's release. The memoir is being positioned not just as a celebrity tell-all, but as a cultural event that could reshape public perception of one of the most polarizing figures in modern celebrity culture. International publishers are reportedly engaged in bidding wars for translation rights, with particular interest from British publishers who see the book as potentially explosive in the UK market where public opinion on Meghan remains deeply divided. The global reach of this book could amplify the damage to Meghan's reputation far beyond just American audiences. What has publishing insiders most excited is Jessica's apparent willingness to name names and provide specific details rather than speaking in generalities. Early reports suggest the manuscript includes exact quotes from private conversations, specific dates and locations of incidents, and documentary evidence to support Jessica's claims. This level of detail is what transforms a celebrity memoir from gossip into devastating testimony. The book's tentative title, Behind the Veil: My Story of Meghan and Me, has already generated analysis from marketing experts who note how it positions Jessica as the truth-teller finally lifting the veil on Meghan's deceptions. The subtitle emphasizes that this is Jessica's story, not just another book about Meghan, which gives Jessica more freedom to focus on her own victimization, rather than just rehashing known royal drama. Legal experts in the publishing industry are also weighing in, noting that Jessica appears to have been very careful in her public statements to avoid making claims that could result in defamation lawsuits. This suggests she's been working with experienced legal counsel throughout the process, which makes her claims more credible and potentially more damaging. But the real measure of this book's potential impact isn't just advance sales or media coverage, it's the panic it's already causing in Meghan's camp before a single page has been published. Royal experts and legal analysts are already predicting that Meghan's team will resort to desperate measures to stop Jessica's memoir from seeing the light of day, and the timing of this threat couldn't be more devastating for the Sussex brand. This bombshell is dropping at exactly the moment when Meghan and Harry are already struggling with their most significant career failures since leaving royal life behind. The Netflix disaster has been particularly brutal for the Sussexes. Their documentary series failed to generate the cultural impact they promised, their scripted projects have been quietly shelved, and industry insiders suggest that Netflix executives are having serious conversations about whether to renew their contract when it expires. Harry's cooking show concept was reportedly rejected, and Meghan's lifestyle series has been plagued with production problems and budget overruns. Into this already fragile situation comes Jessica Mulroney with a literary bomb that could completely destroy what's left of Meghan's marketability. Royal commentator Richard Fitzwilliams told reporters that Jessica's memoir represents a strategic move to capitalize on Meghan's fading star power, but it's actually much worse than that. Jessica isn't just capitalizing on Meghan's decline, she's actively accelerating it. Legal experts are predicting that Meghan's attorneys will explore every possible avenue to prevent publication, from cease and desist letters to potential lawsuits claiming breach of confidentiality or invasion of privacy. But Jessica appears to have anticipated this response and structured her book deal to include robust legal protections from Kensington Press. Major publishers don't invest seven-figure advances without ensuring they can defend their investment in court. The most concerning aspect for Meghan's legal team is Jessica's claim that she has documentary evidence to support her allegations. Text messages, emails, and potentially audio recordings are much harder to suppress through legal action than mere allegations or hearsay. If Jessica really does have the receipts she's claiming, Meghan's options for stopping publication become extremely limited. Royal expert Angela Levin suggested that the memoir could trigger a cascade of legal battles that would keep Meghan and Harry tied up in court for years. Even if they ultimately prevail in some of their legal challenges, the prolonged public battle would generate constant negative headlines and legal expenses that could bankrupt their already struggling media ventures. The timing also coincides with growing skepticism about the Sussex brand among Hollywood power players. Industry insiders report that Meghan and Harry are already having difficulty securing new deals, and Jessica's memoir could make them completely toxic to risk-averse entertainment executives who don't want to be associated with ongoing controversy. Perhaps most damaging of all, the memoir threatens to undermine the victimhood narrative that has been central to Meghan's post-royal identity. If Jessica can prove that Meghan was manipulative, calculating, and willing to destroy friendships for personal gain, it completely contradicts the image of Meghan as someone who was unfairly treated by both the royal family and the media. The legal threats may be coming, but Jessica appears to be ready for war, and she's chosen the perfect moment to strike when her target is already wounded and vulnerable. The social media explosion following Jessica's memoir announcement has been absolutely savage, with hashtag #JessicaTellsAll trending worldwide and creating a digital battleground where public opinion is being reshaped in real time. The online reaction isn't just generating buzz, it's actively choosing sides in what's becoming the most divisive celebrity feud of the year. Within hours of the announcement, Twitter became a war zone between Team Jessica and Team Meghan supporters. Jessica's defenders are sharing screenshots of old social media posts showing the close friendship between the two women, pointing out how quickly Meghan abandoned someone who had been loyal to her for over a decade. They're calling Jessica brave for finally speaking out after years of character assassination and public humiliation. But Meghan supporters aren't backing down either. They're flooding social media with reminders of the original racism scandal, arguing that Jessica brought her downfall on herself, and that Meghan was right to distance herself from someone who exhibited problematic behavior. The hashtag Meghan was right is competing with Jessica Tells All for trending status, creating a digital civil war that's generating millions of interactions. What's particularly brutal for Meghan is how many verified accounts and influential users are siding with Jessica. Fashion industry insiders, celebrities who knew both women, and even some royal commentators are publicly expressing support for Jessica's decision to tell her side of the story. The narrative is shifting from Jessica being the villain to Jessica being the victim of Meghan's ambitious climb to the top. Instagram has become another battlefield, with users creating side-by-side comparison posts showing Meghan's old tribute posts about Jessica next to her recent scrubbing of their shared content. These posts are generating hundreds of thousands of likes and shares, with comment sections full of users calling Meghan fake, calculating, and disloyal. The visual evidence of how quickly Meghan tried to erase Jessica from her digital history is backfiring spectacularly. TikTok users are having a field day creating conspiracy theory videos, analyzing every aspect of Jessica and Meghan's friendship timeline. Young users who weren't following royal drama closely before are now diving deep into the history between these two women, and many are concluding that Meghan used Jessica and then threw her away when she became inconvenient. The international reaction is even more damaging for Meghan. British social media users are particularly brutal, with many expressing vindication that their skeptical views of Meghan are being proven correct. Canadian users who knew Jessica before she became associated with Meghan are defending her as someone who was genuinely successful in her own right before being destroyed by association with royal drama. Even more concerning for Meghan's team is how the social media conversation is expanding beyond just Jessica and Meghan to include broader questions about Meghan's character and pattern of behavior. Users are bringing up other former friends and associates who have distanced themselves from Meghan, creating a narrative that she systematically burns bridges with people who helped her rise to fame. The social media firestorm isn't just entertainment. It's actively damaging Meghan's brand and marketability, while rehabilitating Jessica's image in ways that traditional media coverage never could have achieved. This betrayal cuts deeper than any royal family drama Meghan has faced, because it's coming from someone who truly knew her before the fame, the titles, and the carefully constructed public image. Jessica Mulroney wasn't just a friend, she was Meghan's witness to the climb, and now she's ready to testify about what that ascent really cost. The timing couldn't be more devastating. Just as Meghan and Harry are desperately trying to reinvent themselves after their Hollywood ventures have failed, their most trusted former ally is preparing to expose the calculated ruthlessness that allegedly fueled Meghan's rise. This isn't about royal protocols or media treatment. This is about personal character, and Jessica's insider knowledge makes her the most dangerous enemy Meghan could possibly face. What makes this memoir so potentially destructive is that it threatens the very foundation of Meghan's post-royal brand. Everything she's built since leaving the royal family has been based on her image as someone who was unfairly treated, who stood up for what was right, and who chose love and authenticity over titles and tradition. If Jessica can prove that Meghan was manipulative, disloyal, and willing to destroy friendships for personal gain, that entire narrative crumbles. The seven-figure book deal ensures that Jessica has the resources and legal protection to tell her story without backing down. This isn't going away quietly, and every attempt Meghan makes to suppress it will only generate more publicity and validate Jessica's claims about Meghan's controlling behavior. For Meghan, this represents the ultimate humiliation, being exposed by someone who loved her unconditionally and supported her through everything. When your former best friend becomes your biggest threat, it says everything about who you really are behind the carefully crafted image. So what do you think? Is Jessica finally getting the revenge she deserves? Or is this just another betrayal in an already messy situation? Drop your thoughts below, like, subscribe, and stay tuned because the next video is waiting and you won't believe what's coming next.